Today we're going to show you how to replace the canvas on your jumping jack tent trailer. The very first thing that you're going to want to do is remove your tent from the trailer, lay it flat on the ground like you see it here, and then we can go ahead and just set the tent up like normal. Okay, you are going to want to also remove any personal items, bed cushions, and any of those things in there that are loose inside of that tent. With everything removed, we can now move on to the next step. At this point, there are three things that we're going to take care of right off the bat. We're going to remove our screw out of the front and back of that flex rod. We're going to remove the side fiberglass with the 3 straps on each side of the tent. And we're going to unclip the leash that holds the tent to that frame on both front and back of the tent. Save these items to the side to replace into your new canvas. We are going to want to use 2 of these side straps to hold that framework together when we pull it out of the canvas. With each of these items removed, we can now just go ahead and put our tent down like we normally would to get ready for that next step. Now that all of those things are removed, tent is down flat, we're going to go ahead and remove this flex rod from the actual framework of that tent. As you can see, this is where our screw was holding that to the framework, and that is the T that goes into the frame of the tent. We need to remove that T. With those buckles undone as well, we are able to get a lot of this canvas pulled and out of the way, and we have our first side strap down here to tie that frame together when we go ahead and pull that flex rod out, so that the frame doesn't want to jump on us and create any further issues. Now with the flex rods removed, we're going to move some of that canvas out of our way so that we can get inside of the tent, and we're going to prop that frame up on its side and bring it out the door. When replacing that canvas and putting that frame back into the new tent, the first thing you're going to want to do is lay your tent bag out flat on the ground, all situated out nice and tight. And then we're going to lay that canvas out flat right over top of that tent bag. We do want to make sure that we situate the corners of the tent bag, or the corners of the tent, into the corners of the tent bag itself. So we're going to want to match those up. That's going to help us when we go ahead and put that framework back inside the tent. When replacing that frame into the tent, we're going to first want to make sure that we're taking the correct end in first. Obviously, table side needs to go in the door first. And we do want to make sure that it is that back left corner going into the back left corner of the tent. That framework is now laid flat in the tent. We do want to be aware of where those seams are on the tent. The seams should be outside of both the front and the back of the tent. So what we're going to want to do is down here, we can see that it is on top of that seam. We're going to go ahead and grab that canvas and just work it until it comes out in front of that framework. The next step is to get the tent laid out flat again, and we're going to replace those flex rods, get them put back in. Let's go ahead and set our tent up. At this point, we can go ahead and replace our screws, but we do want to make sure that we use some red thread locker so that those screws will not jiggle loose and come out on their own. We're going to want to go around and make sure that the tent is in the bag properly. We want to make sure that everything's in the corners, and we also want to make sure that the tent is within the seam of that bag on the front. We're going to now replace our side fiberglass with our side straps. I'm going to lay one of these out in each location where they go. And we're going to sleeve that fiberglass right into there. The last few items would be things like your carpet, and again, re-clipping our leashes from the tent to the framework. I highly recommend, once we do those 2 items, to go ahead and close the tent down, put the tent back in your trailer before replacing any of the bedding or any personal items that you leave inside of your tent, just to make it easier to get that back into the trailer. And at this point, we can go ahead and fold this back up, zip it into its bag, replace it into the trailer, and then go ahead at that point and open it up and replace any of that bedding and other items inside your tent.